everybody, to this week's edition of the NFC West Huddle, your weekly home for all of the biggest headlines across the NFC West division. I am Robbie Baker out in Arizona, covering the Arizona Cardinals. We have our usual ragtag team covering all the teams across the NFC West. Alyssa Charlton-Smith up in Seattle with the Seahawks. Frank Malakote in San Francisco with the 49ers. And Gerard, I'll start with you in LA. I'm going to throw a little curveball at you here to start things off because the Rams were the latest team today to unveil new uniforms. Washington did it earlier this week. Both times these uniforms were unveiled, I had to do a double take because as I was looking at the videos, I thought, these are the same uniforms. These are basically, what did they change? And then I had to go through the specific details and whatnot. But it sounds like Rams fans may have some takes, if you will, about the update to the uniforms.
You know what? I get so tired of this subject, I got to be honest with you, Robbie. Rams fans, they want the old school, 70s and 80s Rams uniforms back. And that's just not going to happen. This is a new era of Rams football when they moved back in 2016. And, the differences in this uniform from what we've been wearing the last couple of years are very slight. You can't really tell, like you said, you got to do a double take. But all the hooing and the han and the boo-hooing is all because they want to go back to the classic Rams uniform of the 80s, and that's just not going to happen. We're in a different era of football now. Everyone needs to just get with it. It's a different coaching staff, a different ownership group. They moved to St. Louis. They've moved back. Get on with it. It's a better situation than it ever was here in the first place. When I was a kid, everyone needs to move on. It's ridiculous.
Hey, I'm still waiting for the Diamondbacks to bring back the pinstripes from the World Series year in 2001. So maybe I'm one of those boo-hooing sports fans out there. The first topic for the whole panel, though, and we'll start in Seattle because replacement refs are being talked about again. The NFL reportedly getting ready to onboard replacement refs. The current labor negotiation with the current full-time, if you will, officials is coming up at the end of May. The NFL has now positioned themselves again to potentially have to use replacement refs. And Alyssa, up in Seattle, you guys know the drama of replacement refs very well.
Yeah, I don't know why you're picking me first. It's not like the Seahawks have benefited from replacement refs in the past. I'm completely unfamiliar. But I honestly think that this is going to drag out. I mean, obviously, 2012 replacement refs gave us the Fail Mary, Green Bay Packers, clearly a little OPI that wasn't called. I'm happy to admit it. And also, we got a free timeout with it back in week one that season. So we love the idea of replacement refs here in Seattle. Bring them on, bring them in, get their physicals done, as we saw with the memo sent out to teams, I believe, on Wednesday. We're all about it here. And in reality, no, I mean, this could be a big problem for the NFL. I'm curious to see if they've had a growth, if we're going to see a growth moment out of them, if the NFL grows up a little bit and tries to make them happier. Clearly, the AP is reporting that refs want a 6.45 revenue growth over 6 years in their labor deal. So they want their salaries to increase by more than that. Apparently, the NFL refs want a 10% increase in their salaries over that 6-year period, plus a $2.5 million marketing fee added to that. So we'll see how generous Roger Goodell is feeling and how good those owners are feeling. I think it's kind of a perfect example, though, when you look at 2012, because the stakes were so high in some of those games, and they went a different way because of replacement refs, and they could have changed the course of the entire season. So you really can't risk it. NFL, get this right, get it done. But I think there's a good chance because the NFL director, NFLRA executive director Scott Green, told the AP that negotiations look similar to 2012 right now, and that's recent, so that's not good news.
Yeah, not ideal there, I suppose. Frank, in San Francisco, we're not going down the replacement ref route again, are we? The Roger Goodell's got to figure this out, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope not. I think it's a big mistake if they do. It's about the integrity of the game. And the game has changed since 2012 when they rolled out those guys. And, oh, by the way, teams make $600 million a year. The NFL makes $20 to $22 billion a year. They got the money, spread the wealth a little bit, and make the games, make them legit. We know what happened in that Seattle-Green Bay game, the Fail Mary play. A lot of people were outraged by that. I think if you bring in replacement refs, you're going to have more blown calls. Oh, by the way, I don't think they had an instant replay back in 2012 as well. And it really, I mean, if you affect one outcome of one game when you've only got a 17-game season, that's huge. I mean, that's like 10, 11 games in baseball. Just throw over the cards. You lost. Sorry about that. We move on. So I hope they don't do it. And also another big change, sports betting. You know, the NFL is now in bed with some of these sports apps like DraftKings. And you want to tick off a lot of people because a lot of people bet on the NFL. And if one referee makes a blown call, be it an over and under or a touchdown, whatever the case may be, you know, a lot of people not too happy.
Yeah, Frank, that was actually the exact point that I was going to make. Is the biggest change really since the last time this kind of situation came up is the sports betting side of things. And you hear people joke nowadays still when the regular refs, if you will, make mistakes that, oh, this is just the NFL's script and it's all kind of premeditated by Roger Goodell and the powers that be in New York. But you look at whether it's, people always say Vegas knows. Well, these over-unders, these point spreads are always very, very close to, the actual outcomes of these games. And that's just because, Vegas knows what they're doing. And these sports books are very smart with the way that their analytics calculate these numbers. But you have to be able to put out a product that can match that and that is reputable and that can stand up to scrutiny. And putting replacement refs out there when, you have a $20 to $40 billion enterprise just doesn't make sense to me. But you're right. I'll throw it out your way in Los Angeles. This, whether it's gambling, whether it's the impact of a shortened, if you will, 17-game season, replacement refs would throw a big curveball in the proceedings this fall.
Yeah, I think the NFL right now is kind of playing hardball with this situation. They've already changed the rules so that instant replay can have more of an impact this year on clear and obvious errors on the field. In a way, that's baiting the referee association right now that, hey, we're getting these guys ready. They got college referees, working through everything right now to be ready for September 9th, which is opening day, I believe, coming up this year. So they're playing hardball. They've been at this for a couple of years now, which is a little bit scary that they haven't been able to come to a resolution yet. But I think in the end, the cooler heads will prevail. I think they'll meet somewhere in the middle. And I don't think we'll start the season with replacement refs. The NFL is king for a reason. The product is so appealing to Americans. And, opening day is like a national holiday in this country. And Roger Goodell's a smart guy. He's been at this for a while. They will figure this out. But they're certainly, holding their cards close to the vest. And they're preparing the referees as if this could happen again. We haven't seen it, as Alyssa said, since 2012, and I don't think we're going to see it again.
We talked a few weeks ago on the show about the quality of the product going to Australia and all these different international markets. Having replacement refs potentially officiate those games would be another interesting curveball as well. We're going to take a quick break here on the NFC West Huddle. We'll talk NFL draft when we come back. Only a few days away, taking over the streets of Pittsburgh. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the NFC West Huddle. We've talked about the NFL draft for what feels like months and months, and now it is just days away. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the black and gold will be able to show out in full force for this year's edition of the NFL draft. And when you lead up to the NFL draft, you hear a lot of the top 30 visits, teams bringing in high-level prospects to their facility to get to interview them and spend time with them with boots on the ground. Frank, we'll start with you in San Francisco. What is one of the top 30 visit names that has come across in the last few weeks of this draft process that has kind of caught your eye out there in San Fran?
Okay, well, they picked number 27 overall. Their shopping list is pretty sizable. They need an offensive lineman, a tackle, an edge rusher, a safety, and they got Mike Evans, but a wide receiver certainly would be good that could play right away. I think that left tackle spot is kind of a big deal because Trent Williams wants more money. He's very expensive. He's been hurt the last couple of years, missing games, and eventually he's not going to be here anymore, and you're going to need a guy to take over that spot. They don't have it right now. So I think they got their eye on a guy named Caleb Lomu. He's out of the University of Utah. Not a super flashy guy, but really, really solid. in Utah, 6'6", 310 pounds. An edge rusher would be nice as well. They re-signed Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker. He and Fred Warner are going to bookend once again. I think that's a big deal. But Greenlaw was hurt at Denver. He was hurt with the 49ers, so I don't know what's left there. So Akeem Mesidor out of the University of Miami, 6'3", 280-pounder, explosive guy. He may be on their radar. And we'll go to wide receiver, too. I mentioned Mike Evans. They picked him up out of Tampa. They finally have a number one wide receiver. Ricky Pearsall is going to have to step up a little bit. He's been injured and has a great game, and then doesn't have a great game. So hopefully he will show us stuff. Juwan Jennings, still a free agent. He may come back, but with Evans, I'm not so sure. And Brandon Ayuk, Lord knows what's going on there. I think they will release him come training camp. So wide receiver is a real sleeper out there. But my guess is they may actually trade down and get themselves an offensive lineman.
Well, I'll jump in quick from the Arizona perspective because, of course, the Cardinals, there are technically quarterbacks on the roster. They do not have their quarterback of the future. I think everybody knows that. And there have been a few quarterbacks that have made their way to Arizona for reported top 30 visits, those being Ty Simpson, who has been a name that has been connected to the Cardinals for a while now. But Drew Aller and Carson Beck also reportedly made top 30 visits to the Arizona area to meet with the Cardinals. And those last two are interesting to me because, yes, the Ty Simpson thing could happen, whether it's trading back up into the first round or at the top of the second round. But bringing in Drew Aller and Carson Beck for those reported top 30 visits also makes me believe that, okay, maybe the Cardinals are really going to just draft the best player available early on, and then you could take a flyer on a guy like Aller or Carson Beck, and they're not going to be your quarterback of the future. But maybe you have a guy that could develop into a nice backup, a nice developmental piece moving forward. But we will certainly see. We'll kind of talk about what teams can make a surprise move in the draft coming up. Before we get to that, Gerard out in Los Angeles, is there a person that has made a top 30 visit out to the Rams facility that kind of caught your eye?
Well, the Rams met with USC wide receiver Mekhi Lemon at the Combine. And he's the guy at 13 that everyone here wants. USC kid, Los Alamitos high school kid. He's a complete local. He would fit in perfectly as the number 3 wide receiver behind Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. It would shore up the wide receiver room. And, of course, that is a big part of Sean McVay's offense. Matthew Stafford back for the next year or two, coming off an MVP season. The Rams are going all in, and he is the perfect fit. He people are talking about, I guess, some of the way he answered questions at the Combine. That has not shaken Les Snead or Sean McVay. I mean, I would be shocked if he's available at 13 and the Rams pick a wide receiver. If it's someone else, I'll be stunned. I think he's the guy, and that's who I'm expecting the Rams to choose at 13.
And Alyssa, round us out here up in Seattle. It'd be nice if John Schneider just made a mistake in the draft. Maybe even like the 3rd or 4th round. Just pick somebody who doesn't become a Pro Bowler.
That is literally in his DNA, so I don't see that happening, Robbie. But love to know that, Arizona has the respect of John Schneider. He is really impressive when it comes to figuring out the gymnastics of the draft. There's no chance that he's keeping the 32 pick overall. He hasn't traded out of the first round in quite a while, but picking number 32 in the first round is basically a second-round pick anyways. He's going to trade for more picks because right now the Seahawks only have 4 entering this draft. You need a running back because obviously you let Ken Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, walk in free agency, and Zach Charbonnet is not projected to return from his ACL injury until maybe mid to late October. So the most exciting top 30 visit I see is Jonah Coleman. He's a University of Washington Husky, formerly an Arizona Wildcat, but he had a 1,000-yard rushing season 2 years ago, and then last year he had 15 rushing touchdowns. 9 of those were in the first 3 games of the season, and I get you're playing preseason games, but he ran all over teams, and he's kind of the perfect addition because he's really physical, he's low to the ground, and he's different than Zach Charbonnet and where he can kind of go around and be a little bit more quick on the outside. Plus, he's got a really cool story. His dad was a gang member and wanted something different for his son, and he totally took it to the next level and got, I believe, a 3.9 cumulative GPA at UW, which is hard to do. He's just a phenomenal story, and he's exactly what you need in a 2nd or 3rd round pick at running back. They're also looking at Iowa inside offensive lineman Bo Stevens. Everybody wants that right guard position figured out. Anthony Bradford struggled there and multiple times this season. And then you also have an aging defensive line. You've got edge rushers that are in their 30s this year, late 30s when it comes to DeMarcus Lawrence. So anybody from Ohio State, like Caden McDonald, who came in, he's instantly going to raise some eyebrows. Those are who you're going for. And the Seahawks 2, 3, 4, 5. Like you said, John Schneider going to make his money in those late rounds and hopefully do exactly what you asked him not to do.
Yeah, the Seahawks will continue to terrorize the Arizona Cardinals. It is just the way of life we have come to expect here in the desert. We're going to take another break here real quick. On the other side, we'll keep talking draft and debate which team we think will make the most shocking move in the opening rounds of the NFL draft. The NFC West Huddle will be right back. Welcome back to the NFC West Huddle. We're continuing to talk NFL draft, and I'm curious what everybody thinks or which team everybody thinks will kind of make the biggest surprise move in next week's NFL draft. And I'll kind of kick us off here because there's kind of a twofold way I approach this. There's a few years ago, it involved the Cardinals. The Houston Texans drafted C.J. Stroud and then immediately traded with the Cardinals to take Will Anderson. At the time, it seemed like a surprising move. Seemed like it may have been a bit of an overpay. Turns out that was a brilliant move by the Houston Texans. They got their franchise quarterback. They got their franchise edge rusher. And the Cardinals still got a franchise piece in their left tackle, Paris Johnson, who that they've given him his fifth-year option. And it sounds like Paris and the Cardinals are working on a extension as well this summer. So that was a surprising move a few years ago when the Texans made that move. And to bring it back to this year's draft, I'm not sure if the Cardinals are going to do a move trading up, but that third overall pick, I don't know if the Cardinals have a for sale sign on it, but I would not be surprised if the Cardinals move out of that third overall pick. There's basically everybody in the draft has been connected to the Cardinals other than Fernando Mendoza at this point. And I think that there could be a team that is going to want to move up to take the player they desire at 3. And we've also seen Monty Ossenfort is no stranger to moving around the draft board and accumulating picks. So I don't know if it'll be a huge surprise necessarily, but I think early on in the draft, the Cardinals could be a mover moving down in the first round and potentially adding some draft picks to maybe move back up and take a Ty Simpson or something like that. We'll toss it over to Frank here in San Francisco. Frank, which team do you think will shock some people come draft week?
All right, I've always been a 49er fan, but the Raiders played miles away from KTVU here. So a Raider fan, too. If the Niners weren't playing well, we would root for the Raiders. And now they're in Las Vegas, and I got to tell you, folks, they find a way to screw things up. So here's my scenario. I went to Cal. I love Fernando. I just think he's great. What he did at Indiana, it broke my heart when he left. He won the big game, he cried, and then he left to be with his brother. And then took them to the promised land, and that touchdown in the championship game is, historical. Just a stud. I don't know. The Raiders might trade him. It's a possibility. They've got Kubiak. I'm sure he loves him, and you Seattle folks would know better than I. But they need so much. And they just signed Kirk Cousins, who is very serviceable. Wasn't a starter in Atlanta, but when he came in, he played well. He played well in Washington. He played well in Minnesota. The guy's played on just about every team, and I think that was a really good move to get it to just kind of stabilize that quarterback room. But they need so much. So if they traded Fernando, maybe a team like Arizona, you guys need a quarterback, or Denver needs a quarterback, or Minnesota could use a quarterback. Maybe get a first-round pick later in the draft, a couple of 2s, 3, whatever the case may be. I would not be surprised if they did something like that. I'm throwing it out for what it's worth, but in my heart of hearts, I hope Fernando signs with the Raiders and has a Hall of Fame career. We'll see.
That was pragmatic. Frank got spicy there with his crazy prediction. I love it. Gerard, out in L.A., which team do you think? I guess the Raiders are off the board. So is there another team that you think could have people saying, what did they do?
The Cleveland Browns have the 6th pick, okay? And let's face it, it's been a disaster for, over a decade now. I'm dying to see what GM Andrew Berry and new head coach Todd Monk can do. They've got 3 quarterbacks already. Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. They don't seem to be happy with any of them. And, of course, they paid Watson a boatload of money when they brought him in. I could see them, even though they need every other position, basically, drafting a quarterback at number 6. I mean, that would be the Cleveland Browns thing to do. Fernando will be gone, but there's still Ty Simpson, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, these guys are all they're mediocre guys, but that would be the Cleveland thing to do when you've already got 3 guys at quarterback, one who's, played a lot of football. You're paying him a lot of money. Why not just use him and use that pick to get other guys? But watch them pick a quarterback.
Yeah, to your point, it was just last year where Shedeur was on the board, who they ended up saying they wanted for a while, and they took Dylan Gabriel ahead of him until Shedeur. So, hey, you never know what's going to happen with Cleveland. Alyssa, are we on Jerry Jones' watch now then, or is there another team that could make some crazy moves?
Well, I did see that there were a few mock drafts that had the Cowboys and Cleveland Browns making a trade, but Gerard stole my pick. I mean, Cleveland is the poster child of messing up drafts and going and ruining quarterbacks' careers. But I mean, you guys look at the Jets at number 2. That's almost a guarantee they're going to mess that up. I mean, that is a franchise that is just mired in mediocrity, below mediocrity, really. And, I mean, Geno Smith ended back up with the Jets. We took Sam Darnold, and he's made something of his career, but that is just where so many careers go to die. I've mentioned it multiple times. I see the Jets doing something weird, getting a quarterback that's like 8th on the depth chart, 8th in terms of like projections, like below Garrett Nussmeier. Watch them go get like an FCS quarterback and try to turn him into something. You can always rely on the Jets to make poor decisions, or at least mismanage players once they get them in the building. But Jerry Jones, you never know what he's up to. I think he could be a swindler and try to get things, just muck things up. But I don't know. You also have the Giants in there, too. So a lot of opportunities for some mistakes.
Yeah, you mentioned the Giants. We still don't know the Dexter Lawrence situation. He reportedly still wants a trade, new contract. He could be maybe moved on draft day. And, when it came to crazy moves too, Steve Keim, the former general manager of the Arizona Cardinals, loved to be like the smartest guy in the room. Always loved taking those FCS Division 2-3 guys and see them potentially flourish. Unfortunately, other than David Johnson, didn't really work out too much for Steve Keim, and that's why he's not employed anymore here in Arizona. But we're all excited for the draft, and we'll have plenty to break down next week right again here on the NFC West Huddle.